the Lorehounds. I'm Elysia. You don't have to sing.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it.
Welcome, Sean.
Somebody's excited. Oh, somebody is very happy today.
I'm loving this.
Hi, everybody. Let's get all the giggles out because, man, what a first 2 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun one.
Yeah.
So I'm Elysia. This is Jean. Welcome to the MCUniverse. And the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, the limited series, the sequel to WandaVision, are out on Disney+. And we're covering both in this episode. Episode 1, Seekest Thou the Road, and Episode 2, Circle Sewn with Fate, Unlock Thy Hidden Gate.
Go back and check out our Agatha All Along prep recap, a who's who, if you haven't yet, for a reminder of where things stand in the MCU going into the series, plus an introduction to the new characters and their comic book backstories.
For this episode, we'll start with some quick spoiler-free hot takes on the first 2 episodes, and then since we've got a lot of ground to cover this first week, we'll dive right into the episodes themselves. We'll give you a spoiler warning when we're about to do that.
But we're going to save the biggest potential spoilers for last, our thoughts about what may be happening with certain characters based on what we know from the comics. But again, the MCU always does its own thing, so our speculations may not spoil anything at all. But we'll warn you before we get into that stuff anyway, for anyone who wants to stay on the safe side.
We also want to hear and discuss your thoughts about the show, the comics, the characters, and everything else as we go. Please send your feedback to mcu@thelorehounds.com. You'll find that link in the show notes, and voicemails are definitely encouraged as well. Yeah, so we have our first 2 episodes out. We've got our showrunner from WandaVision back, Jack Schaefer. We've got the music team back. We're definitely going to be talking about music today, and most of the rest of the key team is back as well. So on a scale of 1 to just consider this episode 10 of WandaVision, how much does this show feel like a continuation of WandaVision?
Very much feels like a seamless transition. For me. It was not just because the characters were the same, but just the feel. There's particular, scenes that really call back to the WandaVision series, but it just felt tonally, in that kind of whimsy, if that's the way I can put it, that WandaVision had as well when it started.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a good call that they did the first episode as a genre take again, like WandaVision, because then that also bridged the gap between them. In addition to
definitely.
just literally dealing with the fallout of that show. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it's. I think they hit all the right buttons. They did everything that they were supposed to do in these first 2 eps, and it's exciting. It was fun. It's exciting. Yeah. So
yeah, we talked in our prep ep about how this is the middle show in a trilogy of shows. It's going to end with some sort of Vision Quest show. But yeah, there are apparently wider ramifications for the MCU. Are you feeling that already? Or are you wait and see mode?
I'm in wait and see mode. I'm definitely in wait and see mode. Marvel has been really good about placing certain things and then having a lot of red herrings for people to chase around, just trying to find out what's next. So I really want to wait and see. I don't want to rush to judgment and say, aha, I think I know where they're going, because I don't yet.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And so let's just roll right into our spoiler-free still hot takes. Jean, what did you think of this start to the season, these 2 episodes overall?
This was great. I wrote one of my nieces, I said to her, this was fun and appropriately spooky in spots. Right? It was just nice. It just I felt great watching both episodes. We often talk about if we're taken out of a story for whatever particular reason, the writing, the visuals, whatever it could be, right? I was never taken out in any of these first 2 episodes. My attention never waned. So I was in it for the long haul. I sat through it and just Loved every moment of it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was proper funny, especially the second episode. I laughed out loud a lot at, which I don't necessarily do that much with shows. And yeah, I'm in love with all the characters. The chemistry, like any two characters that you put together, they have amazing chemistry, and I just want to see more of each of the pairings. Yeah, I did the group dynamic I'm very excited about because obviously, as we know, as we predicted, the first two episodes were a lot about getting the group together. So by the end of the first two episodes, not really a spoiler, we have the cast assembled for the rest of the show.
Which I was grateful for. I
Yeah.
was very thankful that they didn't, waste time getting the gang all together. I was
Right.
happy that it happened so quickly and the story moved along rather quickly when they were doing that. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah, and we got to we got a little time to get to know, they're laying the background for what's going to and we know that each episode for a little bit is going to focus on a different character and their trial. So we got to get the seeds laid or the seeds planted for that now, where we find out like what is the thing each of them is seeking, what's their current situation, and now there's all the mystery of like, well, how did they get in this situation? Like, I especially have lots of questions about Jennifer Kale, but we'll get to that. But yeah, and I think there's probably going to be an emotional ending. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun getting there, and there were some proper scary moments in the second episode.
Yeah, we'll get to those as well.
Yeah.
and my family's reaction to
Okay.
some of those moments, definitely.
Did Eve watch?
No.
Oh, the other. I know what you're going
No.
to talk about. Yeah.
Yes. We spoke about it. Yeah.
So what is your favorite between the first two episodes so far?
Wow, that's a tough question. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I would say maybe the second one. I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure which one is my favorite because I think both of them had really strong points. So
Very different.
very different, and maybe the second one stood out more because of some of the spooky elements involved. Yeah, so by a whisker, I'll say the second.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the first one I thought was amazingly done. Love it. Also, it is a like cop genre theme, which is definitely not my genre. Although it leaned noir. I love noir. So
Okay.
yeah, the second one just made me laugh and we got to meet all the characters. So that's going to be it for me. Although there were some really great moments, especially with Aubrey Plaza in the first one.
Yeah. Their chemistry was really good on screen.
Yeah.
But the first episode made me laugh as well. You know what I mean? So there were spots where maybe I shouldn't have laughed, but it was funny to me. So, but
yeah.
By a whisker, I'll say the second. By a whisker.
So, okay, so you came into these episodes with a certain level of hype. Has your hype gone up, down, or stayed the same after watching the first two episodes?
No, it's gone up.
Yeah.
Like it's gone up. I'm fully expecting this to be Loki-ish.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if it's anything less than that, based off these first two episodes, then I'll be slightly disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, so from what we've heard from people who've gotten to see the first four, it just gets better from here, at least for the next two. So I have high hopes.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into it. So this is your official spoiler warning. We are about to spoil the show. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. La, la, la. And here we go.
Seekest thou the road to all that's foul and fair?
So episode 1 is titled Seekest Thou the Road, and it is from the song lyrics, obviously. The writer and director of this one is the showrunner herself, Jack Schaefer. And so just a reminder again, what the Witch's Road is. This is a concept that comes from the Scarlet Witch Volume 2 comics, the ones that were released in 2015. There's 15 of them. I really recommend them, each done by a different artist. Really cool. And I have to say, we don't see it until the second episode, but it looks just like the comics, The Road, don't you think?
Yes, it did. the way it was colored, everything, the visuals were really stunning, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, like a surreal, dark fairy tale, which is perfect. And we find out that, there are some slightly different specific rules of the Witch's Road in the MCU. It is a coven of witches with complementary talents must open the gate to get there, though Agatha did it once solo, and you have to sing a song to enter. But of course, we'll get to that in episode 2. This episode, we start with that humming we heard at the beginning where Agatha she is already thinking about the road, but she doesn't remember because she's stuck in the hex. And so she's living out these different TV genres, including this episode, as we said, is a crime drama. And this is the version of the theme song they made for this, sung by Matthew Mayfield. So 3 years after the events of WandaVision, Agatha, going by the name Agnes, the name she gave herself when messing with Wanda's Westview hex, is still stuck in the personal hex she was left in by Wanda. Her current delusion, that she's living in a detective series, and there's a Jane Doe who turned up dead. She follows the clues to the identity of the woman, Wanda Maximoff, dead, as far as everyone knows, since the events of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Sean, are you a fan of the crime detective genre?
Yeah, definitely. Give me more Luther.
Did you watch Mayor of Easttown or True Detective?
I watched True Detective. I did not watch Mayor of Easttown, and I haven't watched the last season that came out of True Detective.
Yeah. Someone was just pointing out today, I think it was Mark from Nevermind the Music, that the recording would have overlapped, when they were filming this and filming the last season of True Detective. But a lot of people have pointed out that her acting in this episode was quite reminiscent of Jodie Foster's acting in that season. I haven't seen that one yet either.
So that's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But the thing that threw me off was the version that played of the song was very Sopranos-esque. Like if you watch The Sopranos, that intro, that threw me off a little bit because it was just like, oh, we're going here with this, but then it veered off into, this other type of genre where it started. When I heard the song, I was immediately thinking crime, like a crime family type of situation, because I associate it. Just the vibe was of the way he sang the song was very Soprano-esque.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's fair. I think someone said that he sang the True Detective theme song or a theme song for another detective show. I'm not, like I said, this isn't really my genre, so someone let me know. I did. I always wanted to watch Mayor of Easttown, also because it's set near where I grew up. So I did and finally watch it, and I'm glad I did because I definitely saw Easter eggs for that. And they even put it on the screen. The subtitle for this episode is Agnes of Westview as a play on Mayor of Easttown. So yeah, we had especially Easter eggs for both of those. I think that the biggest one for True Detective, since I can't really say much more about that, is they, in the credits, as a title credits roll, it says inspired by the Danish series WandaVision. And this is apparently a reference to the fact that true crime people are saying that it's inspired by a Danish series called, in English it's called The Killing, in Danish it's called Forbrydelsen. Forbridelsen, which means literally the crime. So yeah, I know a lot of people were saying on Twitter or on Discord that they laughed out loud at that. So
yeah, I didn't get any of that stuff.
No, I mean, I noticed the weird spelling. I was like, that must be a thing.
Yeah, that I noticed, but everything that inspired the weird spelling, I didn't know about. Yeah,
but yeah, it's there were definitely Mayor of Easttown nods, like the fact that she's always eating, which is something that Kate Winslet was doing in Mayor of Easttown. The sight of the bodies turning up at the start of they say crick. It's they did do the accent, but it seems like they were mixing the Philly accent and maybe, I don't know what accent they use in, where is True Detective set? Is it set in Baltimore or something? I don't know. Anyway, but they did get
No, in the South.
in the South.
You're
Oh
thinking you're
no,
thinking of
then
The
it wouldn't be
Wire.
that. Yeah,
Baltimore, you're
maybe
thinking of The Wire.
could be that they were getting some Wire references in there too. That would make sense. But yeah, they did definitely do one Philly word, which is like one thing. I grew up outside Philly, as I said, and we do genuinely call water wooder. So
Oh.
we got this from the Herb the neighbor.
Jane Doe, found her down here by the water. Dispatch was tipped off by an anonymous call.
Somebody didn't want her out here alone.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they use this genre because of the dead child trope, because we get this silent hint about. Do you want to talk about that?
Can I just say something real quick?
Uh-huh.
The whole detective thing had me I was laughing.
Yeah.
Her accent, everything,
Right.
her mannerisms, everything that was so forced. I was just like, yeah, this cannot be where we're at in the story. You know what I mean? So I was just watching it tongue in cheek, and it was so hilarious to me to see her, play that straight character, that's down the line, hard boiled cop. When I know this show is not about a hard-boiled cop, you know what I mean? And so watching it, I was just like giggling to myself all along. Like, this is hilarious. This is great.
It's giggling all along. But yeah, we got that, oh, I'm a detective who's sad because my child passed away trope. We get that glimpse of a certain bedroom that's covered in child things. It looks like there's a little boy there, and we see something talking about a Nicky or a Nicholas Scratch, and that's something we're going to talk about more in the secret speculation section at the end, but definitely remember the name Nicholas Scratch. Did you also notice the Wizard of Oz? Like, I think there's going to be throughout the show Wizard of Oz, The Wiz, Wicked references.
I mean, I got it, in episode 2, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't pick up those little things in the first episode.
Well, like the intro where they talked about the WandaVision, whatever.
Oh yeah, that.
They showed like the yellow tape, and you're going down the yellow tape like it's the yellow brick road.
Yes. But it was the thing when I watched it. I haven't rewatched the episode yet, so I'm just here really enjoying what they were doing,
right?
And I'm glad that I don't know.
Yeah.
No. It's not picking it apart, because I'm always looking for comic book references, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always searching for those things, but it's just like I was so into the story, like from the beginning, because again, it just started, and I'm like, where is this going? You know what I mean? Like, why is she playing this cop? What's going on with this whole? I wanted to know, so I kind of paid more attention to what the story was doing rather than what was going on influencing the story, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And I'm looking for the comic book references, particularly in this corner of the Marvel Universe, but also, one of the things I love about Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, and this team is that they're cinephiles.
Yes.
And so am I. So, I'm definitely looking for that. And I went down a deep dive. Like, I even watched freaking Mayor of Easttown for this show. I mean, I'm glad that I've finally seen it. Okay.
That's funny.
And I like that they right away got the Wanda tease out of the way. It's been addressed.
Yeah.
We hear.
Yeah.
She is dead, though, isn't she, Herb?
Oh, she's really most sincerely dead.
Never know.
Yeah, the never know was cool. That was cool too. But I'm glad that they, like you said, they dealt with it right away. You know what I mean? There are no lingering questions to be asked about what this series is about. Will she, won't she? Even if she does, at this point, it doesn't matter, right, to the story. And I
Right.
think that's the most important thing. This is their story. This is Agatha's story. This is the coven's story, independent of
Hmm.
Wanda. And they made that clear from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we see what is supposed to be Wanda's body. We see the black fingertips because she's been using the Darkhold, obviously, before she died. And then, what did you think of that tease we get with Teen later when she meets Teen and he seems to have black fingertips, but then he's like, "Oh, it's from fingerprinting because
Oh, yeah,
she."
it's not fingerprinting. Come on.
Yeah, you
That's
think he's been messing with the Darkhold somehow,
absolutely somehow. Yes.
or
He might have
some
been.
association with it?
I mean, we can talk about it.
I mean, we will talk about it later. But just that's another tease for the comic speculation section. We also get, it seems to this first episode was definitely the one like transitioning away from Wanda, and so we get Agatha reemerging in the form of she finds her brooch, which she was wearing all through through WandaVision, and she got it from her mother, and it has on it the triple goddess, the maiden mother crone, which is like goes back to Greek times with Hecate. You can think about the Fates, Macbeth's three witches. These are all aspects of this triple goddess of witchery. And what's interesting is they noted that it was made with cowrie shell, which is a type of sea snail, and it's something like if you think about like Bahamas jewelry, it's often these shells strung together. But it's used in divination sometimes, but then often in West Africa or or India or East Africa. It's not really where you would associate Agatha is coming from. So I'm very curious what the story is behind that cowrie shell.
Well, I think some North American peoples use cowrie shells as well.
Brought in, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not
No.
native to North America.
In certain, I think it is in certain parts. We'll double check that.
Okay. I thought it was like warmer climates. It was native to.
And so I think they have usage in North American cultures, native cultures. So we'll double back to that.
Oh, we'll double back to that. All right, editor Elysia from the future, doubling back to that. And we're kind of both right, although I'm going to give this one to Jean. Because, so a tribe that happens to be associated with cowrie shells is the Ojibwa, which is the big brother tribe of my own Potawatomi tribe. And they were, originally in Canada. And I'm just going to quote Wikipedia directly here on this, but they say, this is the entry for cowrie shells. They say the Ojibwa Aboriginal people in North America use cowrie shells, which are called sacred Meegis shells or white shells, in Midewiwin ceremonies. And the White Shell Provincial Park in Manitoba, Canada, is named after this type of shell. There's some debate about how the Ojibwa traded for or found these shells so far inland and so far north, very distant from the natural habitat. Oral stories and birch bark scrolls seem to indicate that the shells were found in the ground or washed up on the shores of lakes or rivers. Finding the cowrie shells so far inland could indicate the previous use of them by an earlier tribe or group in the area, who may have obtained them through extensive trade networks in the ancient past. And to add in here that there's old Potawatomi stories from this part of the timeline, of our own timeline, that there was a trade with the Scandinavians who came over before, pre-Christopher Columbus time. So the Scandinavians also traded as far south as Africa and many other places, so that could also be a way that they made it there. So, yeah, both right. But I think Jean is more right because I should have known that. Okay, back to the episode discussion. So what do you think? There's a lock of hair, and it's a locket, and there's a lock of hair inside. Who do we think this hair belongs to? Dark hair, I should note.
I mean, for me, I thought her son immediately.
Yeah. I think at first I thought Rio, but then I'm like, no, it's her son, right?
Yeah, I thought her son immediately. I didn't think Rio at all. I thought it was her son. But it could be Rio's as well.
Yeah. And by her son, we mean that mysteriously empty room labeled Nicholas Scratch.
Yes.
And then we also, as she's following this investigation, her biggest clue is this like library, not a card, what do you call it? Like the insert where you write who checked out the book. And the book is called Dialogue and Rhetoric, Known History of Learning and Debate by Andrew Ugo. And she starts like taking the first letters of each, and it spells Darkhold. Like, oh, I'll get it. And Andrew Ugo, a lot of people online, I'm not great at anagrams, I never think that way, but apparently Andrew Ugo is indeed an anagram for Wundagore, aka the mountain where Wanda died, where the temple of the Darkhold was. So yeah, we're talking about the Darkhold.
Yeah, and we need to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
because honestly, you know, this is what this whole WandaVision multiverse of madness, Agatha All Along, it all goes back to that book.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it holds a very important place in the lore, a very important place in the stories of these characters as portrayed on screen. So yeah, this is quite an important book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we saw throughout WandaVision. It's what we saw corrupting Wanda. That it happened too quickly in Multiverse of Madness, but the backstory is Wanda was corrupted by the Darkhold. It is a corrupting book tied to, again, the demon Chthon. And there's no way we're not going to hear the name Chthon sometime soon, right?
Right.
I'm not saying we'll see. I mean, we barely saw him in Multiverse of Madness.
I mean, it would be great if we did.
That would be cool.
Bring in some elder gods.
Yeah, it'd be cool if there's a big demon at the end, you know.
Love it.
We can wait on Mephisto, but maybe we'll see. So we find, so the quote unquote librarian, because this is while Agatha's still in her delusion, it's just the neighbor, says that the library book was stolen 3 years ago, and we find out that part of the library is now scorched. So I kind of forgot about this after the first watch. I went back, and on my second watch, was reminded that a man whispers through the stacks at Agatha,
yeah,
it's been burned. And that man looked like a particular character from the comics to me.
I mean, you want to talk about it?
I mean, I think I have notes at the end.
Okay. All right.
But it's a name that we've been saying a few times so far, but an older version then, because
a much older version.
Yeah, not a little boy in the empty bedroom, but this is a full-grown man. But certainly looks like the comic book version of a certain Mr. Scratch. And yeah, so we see on this insert who's had the Darkhold. So far we know Wanda took it from Agatha, and there's the dates that are above that are just like people's birthdays, like Elizabeth Olsen's and Stan Lee's and stuff, Jack Kirby's birthdays. But I'm wondering, now I really want to see the names filled in, like the MCU. What was the MCU chain of possession of the Darkhold? That's
going to be, if we get that I'll stand up and clap on viewing, because that would be awesome if they actually connected dots in that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, they teased it. So I'm like, oh, you better deliver now. You can't tease and not follow through.
We'll see.
But I think, there was this teasing motif in this. Like, one of the things that I loved musically was, so we got back for this, the song composers, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. And they are known for like Frozen and stuff, but also they did the key songs for WandaVision, like they did the Agatha All Along, but they also did the WandaVision theme song, which was always some version of WandaVision. And so every episode they would mix those 4 notes up in a new way to make a new genre of it. And in this episode, while Agatha is like struggling and trying to figure out the mystery of, basically trying to figure out that she's trapped, we hear this motif come up a few times in the music.
Go home, Agnes.
So they just play the first 3 notes throughout the music, but they never resolve the quartet. So you're left like, yearning and like, where's that resolution? Which I just think is brilliant, the way they handle that.
No, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Like the showrunners, they're hitting on what they need to hit, man. You know, it's really it's so enjoyable when you can tell that folks have agency to do the story the way that they're doing it because they want to do it that way.
Right.
Right. It didn't feel like, we have to put this in because, you know, obligations to studio.
Fan service or whatever. Yeah.
No, none of that was present in this episode or the second one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like the symbolism of the way they play with the music, because we also get throughout the episode versions of this Ballad of the Witch's Road. And so it's like Agatha is trying to break out of Wanda's music, out of Wanda's theme song, and have her own theme song, you know, her own show. And this is the episode where we see that evolution happen.
And I'm glad that it didn't take the entire episode for it to happen.
Right. So we get faces new and old. We get, in addition to the neighbors from WandaVision who are reprising their roles in Agatha's delusion, 2 new characters enter the picture. One, a teenage boy who breaks into her house. We find out later to find a way to the Witch's Road. And another, a woman, another witch, we quickly learn, named Rio Vidal, who seems to have a past with Agatha. Both work separately to help Agatha break out of the hex so they can talk to the real witch beneath. Or, well, by talk, Rio means attack. But though currently powerless, Agatha manages to hold her off and convinces her that it will be more satisfying for Rio to kill her if she lets Agatha get her powers back first. But Rio warns her that she's not the only one who wants to see Agatha dead. The Salem 7 will be showing up once dusk falls. So I noticed in my second watch, I think Teen was looking at the brooch when Agatha caught him in her house.
Ooh. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about it?
I want to talk about it at the end.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, the end, I think it's going to be a lot of teen theories. So that's why I want to protect people who want... I mean, because we don't know. We're still speculating.
Yeah, we don't know.
We have some good hints, like that at least help us shape our theories. I think, I loved the sequence in the morgue of her stripping off like the layers of the different costumes for WandaVision.
Yeah, just great callback, and just really nice, you know, to see her shedding these layers upon layers of different personalities that were placed upon her to get to her true self, which is really wonderful to watch and, you know, think about what that symbolism means to, you know, so many people in our current society. It's just really great stuff. Great visual.
Speaking of visuals, we got our first bare female bum in the MCU.
Oh yeah, that's right. And someone who didn't care one lick. Right.
He tries to hand Herb tries to hand. I don't know what his non-hex name is, but he tries to hand her like a coat, and she's like, "Nah." He just throws it on the ground.
Just walk away, man. You know?
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool to see. But I want to say, Rio Vidal's entrance was totally badass.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna cut to that. We're gonna cut to that in just a second. But just on the nudity front, apparently that was Catherine Hahn's idea. That she was supposed to put on a bathrobe, and she's like, "No, Agatha would just be like, would just go outside naked." Well, first of all, so there's this whole idea of rebirth.
Yeah, definitely.
There's also so you might think Adam and Eve, but there was also before there was Eve, there was Lilith. And Lilith is often, Lilith is actually a character in Marvel, so she's not Lilith, but Lilith is just in general outside of Marvel considered a sort of mother of witches and or vampires. She's often considered the mother of the darker side of female nature. And I just love that Agatha's not uncomfortable, but everyone else is. And of course, witches are always accused of dancing around naked, which is not untrue depending on how witchcraft is practiced.
And she's also several hundred years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's over that. Right? And that's what that's expressing. This is someone who is totally comfortable with who she is in her own skin. Mm-hmm. Right? So she doesn't care. You know? And if you care, that's your problem. That's
Yeah.
your issue. It's got nothing to do with me. And she was fully, owning who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And we also find out that the neighbors have just been humoring her for the past 3 years. That she's like,
that's nuts.
like they're just like, sometimes you're a little weird. Seems like you've been on a true detective kick lately, true crime kick lately.
That's some loving neighbors, man. They must really love her, because for me, no. I'm not with any of that. I see you, I'm gonna walk in the opposite direction. I will let you go inside before you even spot me. Get out of here with that. But that must be a really great neighborhood. They went through some trauma together, and they said,
Right, that's
we're
true.
gonna band together. We're gonna stick together. We're gonna lift each other up. What a wonderful community. I want to be part of that community. Oh my gosh.
It's true. Westview seems great. There's apparently like 1,000 people less there now or more than pre-WandaVision. So not everyone stuck around, but those who did, you got to imagine they pulled together, even though they apparently don't realize that she was a big part of what stuff that was going wrong.
They don't get it, but it's okay.
They love her still.
They love her still.
They blame Wanda, and so she gets her neighbor to explain to her what's been going on the past 3 years, and then they have this exchange.
3 years? Wanda.
Oh, we try not to say her name.
Ugh.
That's great.
I just love, so the second time I went through and watched everything that was happening in the first part of this episode, I just kept in mind that when she's driving a car, she's sitting at that desk where she has tubes tied to a lamp as a steering wheel, and she's using little mini cereal boxes as pedals. When she thinks she's taking pictures of the body, she's talking to Herb at the fence, and then she's taking pictures of just the bushes. And then she thinks she's arrested teen, but she's just tied him up and shoved him in her closet.
Yeah, just somebody who doesn't, who's living in a different reality.
Yeah.
From everyone else. And that's, so, I mean, there's just so many things you can say about that. Just having someone who was tampered with, your whole being, your mind, your body, your soul, everything that you thought you knew isn't real, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been taken away from you, and you had no agency about it. And now you wake up, and it's 3 years later, you wake up to your own self, and you're like, what the hell? What did I do? What am I doing? And not only what did I do, what am I doing? I can't conjure.
Mm-hmm.
I have no power.
Right. Yeah.
That's got to be frightening.
Right. Well, I've got to give you some points, by the way, because the fact that we find out for the last 3 years she's been living in this delusion by herself, but the neighbors have just been living normally, shows that you were maybe right about the fact that Wanda didn't have to, include everybody in her hex.
Right. I think, I'm still going to stick with that story.
Although I don't know if Vision and the kids could have physically separated for her if she didn't have a boundary spell up. But not everyone had not everyone had to be forced to play characters
and play a character.
Right. They could have been themselves. And
she took all of that away from everyone.
She did. So no wonder they don't want to say her name.
Yeah, she took all of that away from everyone. And she took it away from Agatha for 3 extra years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Agatha did try to steal all her magic and kidnapped her kids, and fake or not,
Oh yeah, we're not saying Agatha is an angel.
Right.
But
that's
at the beginning of this
witch.
story, at the beginning of her story, looking at from her perspective, this is gotta be so maddening and so upsetting and so frightening, because she knows the things that she's done.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Rio comes through that door, you can see it on her face. She's like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And how am I going to do it? And she thinks really quickly on her feet to
Yeah.
get out of that jam.
Yeah.
But you know, she has to be thinking about everybody she's ever wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And the list is probably really long.
Right. Yeah. So you wanted to talk about Aubrey Plaza's Rio's entrance.
Yeah, you know, blasting open the door. She didn't knock. She didn't ring the bell. She just boom.
Bye front
badass.
door. Yeah.
That was badass. You know, and immediately went on the attack. And I think that's so refreshing to see. Like, no talk, no, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm not going to give you a chance. I'm going to try to take you out immediately. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I know she's playing her most unhinged self since at least Legion. Aubrey Plaza also played a really unhinged character in Legion. But I love this quote. You remember pain? It kind of tickles, doesn't it? Like, that was intense. We have Agatha holding the blade of the knife.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, that Rio really wanted to hurt her?
No. Because I think if she wanted to kill her, she would have killed her quite easily.
Right.
Quite easily.
Right. And we also get this quote.
After all these centuries, Agatha Harkness will finally meet her end. Ugh, it really warms the heart.
You don't have a heart.
Yes, I do. It's black. And it beats for you.
And she licks her hand and heals it.
Yeah, that's just so many questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so many questions to be answered in just that one exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't know her backstory yet. Seems to be something, a Spanish-speaking place. Her name means the river of life, and she keeps saying to Agatha, te veo, which means, like, I see you. And we find out they haven't seen each other since Agatha got the Darkhold and hid behind that dark magic. And they have these interesting exchanges where she says, you can't kill me. And then Agatha says, you can't kill me. It's not allowed. And then later, Rio says, so take my power. And Agatha's like, that's cute, but you know it would kill me. So there's some past where they are bound from hurting each other somehow.
I don't know. There are rules that govern, you know, the magic in the MCU.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the councils or the people who, you know, enforce magical order except for in Doctor Strange. But that's just one small corner of the magical realm of the MCU. So they have rules and laws and bylaws and all of these things that keep people from just wreaking havoc on the world and the universe at large. So this must be one of those sort of things where she says it's not allowed. Not allowed by who? Not allowed by what? By what, you know, where is it not allowed? How is it not allowed? These are questions that I have to see who exactly is writing these laws that says that, you know, you can't kill her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one thing that I hope that it looks like they're doing, that I hope they follow through with versus the comics is, in the comics, you know, I have said before that I always end up reading Doctor Strange comics by accident, because if you follow like any of the witchy women's stories, they always go back to Doctor Strange, and that's only more recently been starting to change. So I like this feeling we're getting here where, yeah, indeed, Doctor Strange has this whole organized magic part of the universe, but these are basically like hedge witches, just, you know, out there doing their own thing, just trying to get through life. And
and that makes sense. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Doctor Strange says he's the Sorcerer Supreme. What makes him that?
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
What makes him that? Just because he wears the cape?
Right.
So what makes him that? What makes the Ancient One the one who bestows that title on any one person?
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're trying to do, is to tie all of these strands of the MCU magic together. Because right now, everybody seems to we don't know. We
Mhm.
just don't know what is binding all of these, magical beings together.
Yeah, and there's definitely different rules in the MCU because, for instance, this whole colored magic thing, I actually kind of think it's cool. Perhaps I'm very curious about it, but like Agatha's like, let me get my purple back, and obviously Wanda has red magic. Alice, we'll meet in the next episode, has let's call it coral colored magic. It's also red. But yeah, and Rio has green magic, and they all have their different things. So I'm curious what the rules or whatever are behind that.
Yeah.
Like, red is chaos magic. What? Yeah. Are they
I
tied
mean,
to the Infinity Stones? The
I don't
colors?
know, because she said purple, and there's only one big purple in MCU for me. So,
Yeah.
as soon as she said purple, I'm like, oh, my ears kind of like lit up, like, oh, what are we talking about here? This is Fantastic Four. What? Wait, purple? The
I
big
mean,
purple guy.
Agatha is tied to the Fantastic Four, but yeah,
So the big purple guy I'm talking about is Galactus, for folks who
which we
don't.
know we're getting.
Right.
I mean, do you think? So, of course, people keep asking the cast like all these questions, and of course that they can't answer. And of course, people are asking Catherine Hahn like, "Oh, is Agatha going to show up with the Fantastic Four because they're so closely associated in the comics?" And she's like, "That
Right.
would be cool." But I wonder. I mean, I bet she doesn't even know because they're starting in a different universe. I bet they're not
Yeah,
even. They're going to meet up in like Doomsday.
maybe if they survive,
Hmm.
because I'm not entirely sure that that's the Fantastic Four that we're gonna get down the road.
No, you don't think? I
I
think
don't know.
they'll come over to this universe.
I don't know.
All right. All right. Or what if our universe, quote unquote, is the one that dies and some people make it into theirs?
That I
That would
mean,
be wild, but they're not going to do that, are they?
yeah, I don't think that. I don't think so. I don't think that would be super
Yeah.
interesting, but that would
Which
throw away
yeah.
the last what
Yeah. For anyone who
10,
doesn't know,
14 years.
yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, they're in a retro futuristic universe, the Fantastic Four. That's where we're going to see them in their first movie. But yeah, then we get the closing credits, and the music for this episode, not for the next one, is the classic 1966 song by Donovan, "Season of the Witch," which I'm not going to play for copyright reasons, but look it up if you're not familiar with it. And of course, there's lots of interesting Easter eggs. I won't go that into detail because you can find visual guides to that on YouTube, and we have a whole nother episode to watch. But just to call out a few things, we get like some artwork that's often, sometimes altered versions of famous witchy paintings. We get images of real women who are accused of witchcraft in history. We get clips from witchy films like Snow White and The Craft, soon to be the topic of the Wool Shift Dust Spooktober episode. And we get an image of Alice's rockstar mom. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. And we get instructions. Like the first thing they show is probably the most important. It explains what happens at the end of the next episode. It's a clip of text that says, "Ye shall remove your shoes before touching the hallowed ground. In order to connect to the power of the earth, you must touch your feet to the soil and channel her divine magic through you. There must be nothing in between, no rubber or wood, not a soul, not a soul, SOLE, just your soul, SOUL." So that explains why they go barefoot in the next episode.
And just one thing I'm really interested to see is if the Witch's Road that we are seeing now has the same rules as the one from the comics, which is that non-magical people can't walk the Witch's Road.
Yeah. Well, we have Sharon Davis there. Spoiler for the next episode.
But is she non-magical?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
That's because that was the first thing when they were on the road. I'm like, they're saying she's not a witch, but if the road has the same traits and characteristics from the comics, then she shouldn't be able to walk it.
Yeah. Could be completely different. I'm curious. Yeah. We'll talk about her. I'm worried about her.
Oh boy.
Do you have anything else you want to shout out from the first episode before we move on to episode 2?
No, let's get to episode 2.
All right. We're going to
Yeah.
take a quick break, and when we get back, episode 2.
Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road. Circle sewn with fate, unlock thy hidden gate.
So here we are, episode 2, as the song lyric said, circle sewn with fate, unlock thy hidden gate. And again, these are all titles from the Witch's Road song lyrics. We're going to talk more about the lyrics at the end. This episode was directed by Jack Schaefer, again, the showrunner, and it was written by Laura Donnie, who is also another member of the WandaVision writing team. So, Jean, do you want to summarize the first part of the episode?
Sure. Seeking power. The teen boy tied up in Agatha's closet says he's a big fan of hers and broke in to find a way to walk the witch's road. Like Agatha, he seeks power. Though Agatha has walked the road alone before without her powers, she will need the help of a coven. So she and Teen hit the road. Just the regular locals you drive on at first.
So yeah, the biggest mystery they're setting up, which is why we're being so coy with this spoiler section at the end, is that she can't hear him say his name or tell his life story later. And do you get the sense he has no idea she can't hear that, right?
I don't think so.
He seems like confused by her weird responses.
I think he totally thinks that everybody can hear him.
Yeah.
That he's not aware that everything he's saying is muffled. He's not aware.
Yeah. Yeah, we need anyone who can do lip reading, please write in, tell us what he's saying. But we know, like, later when they're in the car, he starts by saying he's from Eastview, and then she can't hear anything. And then the first thing we hear him say is, it's nice to get to know each other a little better. And she's like disgruntled and is like, drive faster. So I imagine he's just told her something really personal.
Yes.
And he's heard she's so rude about it.
Yes.
Nice. We get to know each other a little better.
And just, to give her a sense of who he is, because he knows all about her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that awkwardness that you have, meeting someone who you might consider a hero, someone that you might look up to, and
right.
Now you're sitting in the car with them, driving them around, and you want them to know, hey, I'm not just, somebody who, worships your magical feet. You know what I mean? This is who I am too. So he's totally unawares that no one can understand him.
Right. Yeah. Well, we don't even know if no one can understand him, because whenever someone asks who he is or he's going to introduce himself to someone else, she interrupts and she keeps referring to him as her pet or her familiar Toto.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
So we don't know if the whatever is happening where she can't understand them, if that affects any of the others.
Good point.
So yeah, he's 16, although the actor was 18 at the time of filming. So that's actually quite good. And he thinks he broke the spell to get her out of the hex by himself, but I don't think that's true. She doesn't seem to think that's true because she laughs at him.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he had a hand in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he definitely had a hand in it. Like he might have pushed her, but I think the breaking of the spell was Agatha.
Yeah, well, I was thinking because, I think Rio was also played a role in it, and I even wondered if anyone else, like the Whispering Man in the library, whoever he may be, or the Salem 7, who wanted to,
I don't think it was the Salem 7.
No.
I just think that everyone that she encountered, before she broke the spell, was kind of like pushing her to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, taking her hand and saying, go ahead, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, without them actually doing it. So it was her, but they each played a role in her being able to break free of Wanda's spell.
Yeah, no, I do think it was like a collective effort. And obviously took her too, because Rio even said, claw your way out.
Right.
I'm predicting now, so she and Teen, we'll keep calling him that. They both say they want power, but then Teen says that, the road will give you the thing you want the most if you make it to the end. I have a feeling they're going to find that they want something other than just power. And to be more specific, we also hear he says this.
The road promises that what's missing awaits you at its end. Power is what I'm missing. Sounds like it's what you're missing too.
The road promises you what you're missing. That is different than it will give you what you want most.
It is different. What's he missing?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he says power, but
I doubt it.
For me, it felt like he is seeking the road to get what he wants, and to get what he wants, he needs power.
So power is actually just a means
to an end.
To an end.
Yeah. That's how I took it when he said that.
Yeah,
because he was not a mustache twirling villain.
Yeah.
Give me all the power so I can take over the world. No, it wasn't that, right? So I just felt like this is a kid who wants something. We don't know what it is that he wants, but the witch's road is leading him to be able to get what he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and with Agatha, I have to wonder if what she's missing is her son.
No. I think with Agatha, what she's missing is her power.
You think it's genuinely power for her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We shall see.
I mean, it could come with those other things, but primarily she wants her magic back.
Yeah. Well, one thing she's definitely missing is friends, and that's a problem because we hear...
What do you know about covens?
Just that they're drawn together by mysterious forces of fate, and that they're the truest form of sisterhood, and... Oh my god, are you taking me to meet your coven?
No, those harpies are dust. But we do need a coven to access the road.
Right. Of course, that makes sense. It is the witch's plural possessive road.
So it's time to get the team together.
Yeah, let's get it.
Just a couple more notes before we move on to that. I love that she spits at Wanda's destroyed house foundations. Like, she's
makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure she's mad at her, real mad.
Yeah.
And we have to call out, of course, that at one point, Teen's, I'm trying so hard not to call him other names, but Teen's phone rings and we see on it Boyf, which presumably stands for boyfriend. And he says he worries. So he's going to be real worried when Teen disappears.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk more about that in the Secret Comics Corner. And also, we're introduced to the Covenstead rule, which is a made-up MCU thing, but it makes sense. So the rule is wherever you are, a coven there shall be. So that means within any 3-mile radius, there will be a collection of witchy enough people to form a coven. Even the most down-and-out witches, when in close proximity with each other, bring out a magical spark. So that brings us to, you want to summarize the next part?
Yeah, absolutely. Assembling the coven. Agatha first tries their luck with a strip mall psychic medium. After playing along with Agatha's play acting, it turns out, actually psychic medium Lilia Calderon calls her out for being Agatha Harkness, recently released from the spell of someone she wronged. She says she's not interested in joining the coven, despite being in dire straits herself, foreclosure hanging over her shop. But she divines the 4 names she needs to join her ideal coven. Unfortunately, Lilia's name is on the list after all. She's instructed to meet Agatha at her house at 5 p.m.
So what do you think of Lilia, our Patty LuPone character?
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
She was great. She was great. She struck all the right tones. I mean, the way that she and Agatha obviously have a history. They've known each other for who knows how long.
Well, but
And-
they didn't. It seems like there's more of a reputation. Well, she knew who Agatha was, but Agatha didn't know who she was somehow.
Yeah, but I think that's due to Agatha's place in their world.
Right.
Like,
Agatha
just
says
because-
herself, no one else
Yeah.
is as high profile as her.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
she may not know her, but she knows her. You know what I mean? So it was really cool to see that play on people who have been around for a very long time. She says, "How old are you?" Oh, what are you? 400?
400.
and then Teen looks at her like, "What? Huh? What's going on here?" You
Yeah.
know, but that's the beauty of what the show is doing, is bringing in these characters who, for whatever reason, are no longer at their height.
Mm-hmm.
They're all, at some point they've fallen.
Right.
They've lost their former, status. Each of them that we meet with are looking to get that back.
Mm-hmm.
Agatha is the first among them, but each of the coven is looking to gain something,
Right.
which is power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no witch in good standing is joining this coven. These are all desperate witches.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And we find out that this version of Lilia Calderoo is Sicilian. She's Eastern European in the comics. So I'm guessing this, like we talked about before, it makes sense that they are diversifying and not just like relying on stereotypes. But also this severs her origin story from Wanda's, right? She took part in Wanda's origin story in the comics. So yeah, although I do wonder, there's one thing in the comics where she can change her appearance to look older or younger depending on
Right.
what she's doing. So like when she wants to look wise, she looks older. When she wants to look sexy, she looks younger. So I wonder if we'll see any of that.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're gonna play it straight up with what we have.
Mm-hmm. Why? Yeah, you don't want to waste Patty LuPone.
Yeah,
with,
that's what
you
yeah.
know.
I think they're gonna play it straight up.
Yeah, and we hear that she got chased out of villages for accurately predicting tragedy. And I was racking my mind because there was another story that was the exact same. But, this is a recurring theme in witchcraft. If you are cursed when you can see the future because people don't want to believe you. Okay. Oh, no, I'm just remembering somebody chased away from Atlantis. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I thought I did laugh during this. She's playing along with Agatha play acting, and then suddenly she's like, "Oh, another thing, blah blah blah," and they, someone who you wronged, and they took your agency, ... for 3 years.
3 years.
I was like, that got specific.
Like she knew all along.
Yeah.
As soon as you walked in through the door, she knew who you were.
Mhm.
This whole, Southern accent thing you put on, it wasn't necessary. Just come out with the truth and tell me what you're doing here. What do you want?
Yeah.
So that was cool. She got her money. You know what I mean?
She got her money. Yeah, that's true. She
Team
paid
paid the fee. So
Yeah.
it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not impressed with Agatha's reputation. We hear this.
I didn't read your fortune. I read your reputation.
Oh.
Witches like you are the reason people think we poison apples and steal children and eat babies.
Babies are delicious.
Agatha has a reputation.
Has she ever really eaten a baby? I don't think
Well,
so.
her
She's a
reputation says she does. She has,
Yeah.
right?
She leans into it.
Yeah, she's not saying no. But
Wow. What do you think's going on with Lilia? Like occasionally it seems like she gets like a magical migraine and she screams. At one point later she screams, "Get off me."
yeah, that had me, confused a little bit. Like who is she talking to? Is she seeing something that's about to happen? Is she being told that something is about to happen? Is some force, like pulling her in a different direction?
Right.
I have questions. I have questions to how her power operates and who she's connected to, because she seems to be connected to some sort of spirit or spirits who are giving her or guiding her or telling her things. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to unravel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious. Yeah, when she writes down that list of coven members and hands it over, she says 3 of Pentacles, which is the tarot card that it stands for both teamwork and it means like you're on the right track. So this is saying, yeah, we're along the same right track. But I'm wondering if, so in the comics, she's both a descendant of the Baron's Mordo, but also a lover of a later one. So, comic books.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get all of that.
but I do wonder, in the comics, she was a keeper of the Book of Cagliostro, which is something we've talked about through Doctor Strange, especially yes. In What If. We saw him in one of the episodes. He found the Book of Cagliostro and used it to summon up all of these demons.
Yeah.
And in the comics, she also at one point has from the god Set. She has something called a serpent crown. So I'm looking for, if there's any references to these things, then, we're going to be Leo pointing meme at the TV.
Well, I think Serpent Society is going to be in the Captain America.
Yeah, true.
2025 movie. So
could
maybe
be tied in. Who knows?
Maybe there's a tie-in.
Yeah. So you want to cue up the next witch?
Absolutely. Next, they gather Jennifer Kale, a potions witch with no great love for Agatha, but legal problems in both the witching world and the human world, and her powers are bound.
Yeah, so out of all of the characters that they pulled from the comics, this is the biggest departure, which is interesting because it's also, other than Agatha, it's the biggest comic book character, and other than Agatha and Teen. It's the biggest character from the comics out of all these that they've pulled in. So it's interesting that they've like completely just gone with a whole new story. I'm not hating on that, but I'm going to double down now on my Man-Thing's going to show up later theory.
I mean, they have to walk the green.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like this Man-Thing could definitely show up at a trial, and Man-Thing is the guardian of the nexus of all realities, and that's definitely got to include the Witch's Road, right? So, and like, why do you pull up specifically Jennifer Kale, this specific character? So yeah, listen for the name Theodore or Ted Salas as we go. And also listen for, she's also associated with a book, The Tome of Zared Na, which kind of, it's like a demon summoning book in a way. Oh yeah, that's right. Her ancestor. Oh, yes. Jennifer Kale's ancestor is one who, that's the person I was trying to think of, who was making predictions about Atlantis and got kicked out of the country because like, oh, you say that we're going to all drown. So you have to go. Right. Okay. So yeah, so they're mixing the backstories together. I'm curious how that's going to go. But maybe we'll hear something about Dakim, the enchanter, was Jennifer's magical trainer. Her grandfather Joshua, her brother. Yeah, and of course we mentioned before that she is a cousin of Ghost Riders Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketchum. So listen for all this. And she also has, I like the Witches comic where she has a coven with 2 other big witches from the comics overall. Topaz, who's like an angelic one, and Satana, you might know from the Hellstrom series.
I haven't read that yet.
And yeah, she prefers women now in the comics, but she did have a romance with Deadpool in the past. So just mentioning that, I doubt they're going to go there with that. I can't see that.
Oh, no.
Please no. Please no.
No.
Oh. But in this version, we find out she's been bound for the last century or so. So again, that's a departure because she's much older. They're all quite old in this version. She's got edible probiotic candles. Like this is like
that's the goop. Funniest shit. That was the funniest shit. I was saying, oh wait, they're eating the wax.
She's like, you just got to burn it first, and she's got a lawsuit because of people are getting have to get skin grafts.
They're eating the wax.
Yeah, the burning wax. Yeah, because FDA says it has to be burned first.
Oh man, that was great.
But then, so another funny thing is they really went all in on like, you know what, we're going to make some jokes that are just for women. And they have Agatha making jade egg jokes, which For anyone who doesn't know, this is like a tool that women can place inside their, I'm going to say a scientific word that may make some men uncomfortable, inside their vagina. And you can do muscle exercises to hold it in place to strengthen the muscles down there, which help with various things. So that's what all those jade egg jokes were about. And she's like, she steals one. She's like, you know where to find it, which, yeah, she means.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, Jennifer Kale also calls Agatha out again. Everyone's calling out Agatha today, but Jennifer says,
"Who's this? Another child sacrifice?"
What do you think that means?
Yeah, that's the thing. Are these things that really happened? Did she really do it, or does she want people to think she's this evil?
Yeah,
or maybe not evil, but just this unhinged. Like, I will eat babies and sacrifice children, so don't mess with me.
Right.
You know? Or did she actually do these things?
Yeah. I mean, she did, like, her face when Jennifer said that, her face was like was like slapped emotionally a little bit. So I do wonder if whether or not she actually did it. I wonder if that's the story about how she lost her son.
Her reputation precedes her.
Yeah. All right, you want to set up the next witch?
Yeah. And then Alice Wu Gulliver, a blood witch, daughter of a witch, protection witch in her own right. An ex-cop who's a bit too aggressive for her new mall security job, which she is immediately relieved of. What she wants most of all is answers. What happened to her mom when she walked the witch's road and never came back?
So yeah, this story, Alice Wu Gulliver's story, is the most similar to the comic book origins. Although, so in the comic book, her mom is the August Wu of the Coral Shore in Hong Kong. And in this case, it's Lorna Wu, and the Coral Shore is the name of a rock band, which has the most famous cover of the Ballad of the Witch's Road. What do you think of this backstory?
I mean, I want to know why her mom is gone just as much as she does.
Yeah.
Like, I want to find out what's going on. I immediately wanted her to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I immediately wanted her to know. Like, damn, she doesn't know what happened to her mother. Let's hope she finds out. That's where I was at with it. I think her being a mall cop was hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, like, but he stole something. Like, yeah, you know what? You're done. Get out of here. And, you know, just the way that you can be so downtrodden, you know that you're destined or come from more, and you're just here and stuck in this place, which she looked totally defeated.
Yeah.
You know, standing there, she just looked totally defeated. And if it's because of what happened to her mom, then she's someone I'm rooting for to get the answers that she needs to get to move on in her life, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt that in that brief instance, like, man, it's like she hit rock bottom, you know, standing there as the security and being berated by the manager. Like, man, that's got to be tough.
Yeah. 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 So again, we talked about all these characters' comic book origins in more detail and what comics you should read if you want to know more about them. But just as a recap, her mom in the comics was killed in Hong Kong by a demon she was hunting. In this version, she seems to have died on the Witch's Road. Now, in the comics, when her mom died, Alice woke up with coral or red hair. And in this version, we see she has like the red tips in her hair. So that's a nod to that for sure. But her boss, right before he fires her, he calls her bad luck. So I'm wondering if she's cursed somehow.
Maybe. Because it's not said directly that she is using her witch powers. Like, we could see with the other members of the coven that they were actively using or trying to use whatever remnants of their powers that they once had. But she doesn't look like she's using anything. You know, so how does that play into who she is, what she's doing? Because in the comics, she's also a cop, right?
Mhm.
Her dad is a cop, and she does the things that she does with her powers. And so far, we haven't gotten any indication that she's been using her powers in large or small ways,
Mhm.
except for this one mention of her being bad luck.
Right. Yeah. And that she's a blood witch. She's a
Right.
daughter
And
of
she's
a witch. Yeah.
daughter of a witch, right.
Yeah. But you have to wonder when she tracks Agatha's house and they ask her, like, how did you do that? And she's like, I'm an ex-cop that's going to answer a lot of the questions. But I wonder if there was some magical aspect too.
Yeah.
So the women and teen gather at Agatha's house, a cluster of prickly personalities, each after their own goals, but they are missing one, their green witch. Agatha had eaten the list Lilia wrote when Teen asked who the fourth name was, and Lilia reveals it was just a black heart. Knowing and ignoring that must mean Rio Vidal, Agatha instead recruits Sharon Davis, a woman who loves to garden and was known as Mrs. Hart in the hex. Agatha invites her to a party, leaving the poor woman lost as to what's going on when the women weirdly gather in the basement and start singing to summon a door to the Witch's Road.
It's probably my favorite scene.
Yeah,
in
for sure.
both episodes. It's my favorite scene in both episodes, and Sharon Davis steals the screen time.
Yeah, she's every little thing she does is funny. Made me laugh out loud.
Hilarious. She's just hilarious.
Yeah. I love Deborah Jo Rupp. Yeah.
She's my favorite character that we've met so far.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm totally invested in her having magical abilities.
Yeah. 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 I hope she lasts longer than I fear she will.
Don't say it. Don't go down that road.
Down the road. I did note Agatha's mailbox is overflowing. It's probably just because she was like too hexed out to realize, but I do wonder if there's anything important in that mailbox that she might have
But then
missed.
how come her neighbors, didn't clear out her mailbox for her?
Exactly. They're bringing her food. Well, they're doing
everything else, but they're not looking at her mail.
Yeah. And also, it's interesting when Lilia and Jennifer meet. Lilia's like high priestess, like she recognizes this about Jennifer somehow, and she also recognizes that Jennifer's bound, which makes sense.
The high priestess thing got me.
Yeah,
because I already said that I wish Marie Laveau was represented in this coven in this magical series. If they somehow tie her backstory to the voodoo of Louisiana or West Africa or Haiti or anything like that, that would be so cool for me. So I'm very
that's
interested.
also what I was wondering about the shells, that
Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't, but the shells were, I think I would more agree if the shells came from Jennifer.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I mean? But I'm not sure about the shells coming from Agatha's backstory.
What if there was like a history there somewhere? I don't know. Anyway, just spitballing. But I do wonder, so in the comics, Jennifer's backstory is that she is a descendant of this cult, of this tome of Zaradna. So I could guess maybe the head of the cult might be called a high priestess.
Maybe that too.
All right. You want to set up the basement bit?
Yeah, let's go. The real plan. The women sing the ballad to summon the road, but the door does not immediately appear. Eventually, they realize Agatha seems to be trying to goad them into attacking her. Agatha had explained to Lilia that she can't steal someone's power unless they attack her first.
Do you believe that was a plan all along?
Yes.
Yeah, you do think that was Agatha's plan?
Yes.
I don't know. I think at least part of her went through all this thinking like maybe we will get on the road. And it was only after it didn't work. She's like, all right, plan B. That's my interpretation.
So why did she send Teen upstairs when they started singing the song? If she had intentions of going on the road.
I mean, I do wonder that. Did she want to leave him behind? Or was she protecting him?
she doesn't seem very protective in these first 2 episodes. You know what I mean? So I thought that plan was the plan all along, was to, get them to attack her, get her powers, or get some powers where she's able to defend herself against the Salem 7.
I mean, for me, I see it as part of her, like, as you say, letting herself be seen as more wicked than maybe she is deep down.
Okay.
In terms of, and but maybe that was legitimately, she's like, all right, I tried this Witch's Road thing. This didn't work. Plan B, steal power. That's what I do. That's my fallback.
Right. That's what I mean. So it's all about
in
power.
general. That's her fallback.
Getting her powers
I don't know.
back.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what she, like, I feel like, I don't know. My prediction, we'll see.
You're giving us some grace.
Out. My prediction is the end of the season, she's going to realize the thing that she's missing is her son. And then she's going to understand Wanda a little better.
Okay. All right.
All right. We got to your...
See. We'll see.
We got to your favorite part of the episode. Do you want to summarize it?
Meanwhile, Agatha has sent Teen upstairs to find Senor Scratchy, which he does. But he also finds that the Salem 7 have arrived, and there's no door to hold them out. As tension reaches its peak, the door appears on the floor in the shape of a pentagram. The 6 of them descend before the Salem 7 can reach them, and they find a wooden road stretching out in front of them with no way to return, even if they wanted to. They remove their shoes and leave them, continuing barefoot to whatever lies ahead.
So go ahead. What was your family yelling?
So I'm sitting there with my beautiful better half, and we're watching Teen upstairs move a sofa, do all these, close the blinds, and we're like, why the fuck are you still upstairs? Go to the fucking basement. Go to the basement. What are you doing? Like, it was so like Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, like, bad decisions. Go to the basement. Like, that's where the help is. That's where the door is. That's where everything you need to get away. Get out from the line of fire. What are you doing, bro? I was so like, I wanted to reach through the screen and just shake him up and say, go in the damn basement. Yeah. So yeah, that totally worked for me. Obviously, the whole scene worked for me.
I mean, yeah, I was with you. I was like, on the one hand, admirable. He's trying to block off like the door since there is none, the windows since they broke through that. But then I was also at some point, I was like, get downstairs. The song's almost done. Even. I have a question though. So he found the rabbit and he was holding it, and then what happened to the rabbit?
I don't know, because I was so focused on him going into the basement. Like, I have no idea what happens to Senor Scratchy.
And I still don't know.
We don't know the whereabouts of Senor Scratchy.
I have questions that are going to come up in the last section.
Okay.
But yeah, the Salem 7, proper scary. What did you think of them?
I love the way that they were portrayed, the way they moved, the way they shifted, everything about them was properly spooky.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it.
Yeah, so this version of the Salem 7 is, we were getting teases of them throughout the episode because we saw these Agatha looking at these random animals and getting freaked out. And most of them, in this version at least, actually in the original version, they were also mostly shifters.
Yes.
But in this version, they mostly shift into animals. So our Salem 7 here are called Vertigo, Coyote, Crow, Fox, Owl, Rat, and Snake. And Vertigo is really the only carryover from the comics, although I guess you could count Snake because there was a Reptilia in the comics. But the other comics characters were different. So it's interesting. Vertigo was the only one who couldn't shift in the comics. She was the eldest daughter, and she was like the best witch of the bunch. So I wonder if that's going to be the same.
We'll see. They didn't show us much.
No,
they didn't reveal much.
Yeah,
they didn't reveal much so far, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because we don't know how much of a proper antagonist they will be. So it's going to be very interesting if they can get on the road as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mrs. Davis is delightful, and I want her to be around the whole time. Are you not as worried
Don't
as I
start.
am?
Don't
Are you
start.
not as worried as I am? She just
No,
wanted to
I'm
get
not.
to the
I am
house. She
not
thought she was
worried.
going to a party, and now she's on
No.
the road of death.
Yes, and she took off her shoes and she's walking it. Let's
Yeah.
go. You know,
She's like,
find
am I
her,
supposed to know
her
this song?
magic. Let's find her magic. This is
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Well, she was just even singing the song. She's like, am I supposed to know this song? And then by the end, she's like swinging arms.
was
She's
in
like,
it.
this song is great. I love this song. It's my new
She
favorite.
was in it. She was in it. Yeah, let's go. Get her magic. Come on.
But we do have to note that Jennifer said Earth magic is arguably the most important skill set for an attempt at the road. And what other character has a lot of Earth magic? Rio Vidal, the Green Witch.
Let's see. But also the Black Heart, right?
Yeah, the Black Heart. Yeah, what do you think finally opened the road? Because they sang the song and they were like getting more and more desperate as they're singing it, and the door didn't appear. And then when they're fighting at the end is when it finally showed up. So like true sisterhood is fighting like sisters.
No, I don't know. I think I don't know what caused. That's a good question. I haven't thought about that. Maybe I'll write in and let you know my thoughts on what opened the road, what opened the door. Because I hadn't thought about that.
Or like someone showed up, or I don't know. Or Salem 7 showed up and the need was desperate. I don't know.
Maybe it was Mrs. Davis getting into the song.
Well, she was into the song, and then I think she was bewildered after it ended, and they're all yelling at each other, and she's like, what? We're having fun, right?
That's a good question.
All right, so yeah, let's talk about this song, "The Witch's Road." Super catchy. You and I both can't stop singing it. But we've also. Oh, by the way, it turns out it's kind of a coincidence that they can all sing. I mean, obviously they knew what they were getting with Patti LuPone, but for the rest of them, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we've decided you need to be able to sing to enter the road." And it's like, "Oh, look at this. We're actually all completely brilliant singers." Like Aliane is apparently like a pianist also. So, and they're like, "Oh, they just happen to all be musical. So lucky them, because that song's amazing." But the executives, they say that the lyrics are also kind of instructions or clues to the show. So I thought we could go through them. Yeah.
That's interesting tidbit.
Yeah. So we got our first stanza, "Seekest Thou the Road," which was the name of the first title. "To all that's foul and fair, gather sisters, fire, water, earth, and air." So I guess this is what we have. You know, she needed to get this coven together of different.
Right.
So earth is
powers.
Obviously the green witch. Yeah. I guess fire is probably the protection witch. Air feels like Jennifer Kale has like an airy aura for some reason. And then water, divination. That's what I'm going with. What do you think?
Okay. No, I agree with those.
And then darkest hour, wake thy power, earthly and divine, which they already pointed out, the earthly part's important. Burn and brew with coven true, and glory shall be thine. So again, it has to be a true coven.
So maybe this is what opened the door. Darkest hour, wake thy power.
Oh yeah, because of the Salem 7 were encroaching. Yeah.
And that's what made them into a true coven facing this threat together.
I think there shall be more threats to come. Okay, so then the second verse starts with the lyrics that were the title of the second episode, which is "Circle Sewn with Fate, unlock thy hidden gate." And so, yeah, that seems pretty clear. We got the hidden gate at the end of this. And then it continues, "Marching ever forward, neath the wooded shrine." Okay, clear. "I stray not from the path. I hold death's hand in mine." AKA the sorry Mrs. Davis verse. No, just kidding.
No.
But we get this instruction that they are not allowed to stray from the path, which makes me predict at some point somebody's going to be forced to stray from the path.
No.
Okay. Primal night giveth sight, familiar by thy side. And she called. Oh,
She called. Yes.
When he ran downstairs is when the
Yes.
door appeared, and she called him her familiar. So
Like
maybe
that.
that's what it was about. Okay.
Ah.
And then, so another night reference. If sun be gone, we carry on spirit as our guide. Now, this spirit as our guide part reminds me of the fact that Wanda's real mother, Natalia, ended up acting as a sort of guide for her and Agatha
Yes.
when they did the
Yes.
Witch's Road. So I wonder, we have a few parent stories going on. Like maybe Alice's mother will show up since we know she died on the Witch's Road.
I think that would be my first guess.
Okay.
That maybe we'll see her mom.
Yeah. And then we have a third verse. So, each of the choruses, and this chorus here ends with blood and tears and bone, maiden mother crone.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. And then the third verse starts with, the road is wild and wicked, winding through the wood, where all that's wrong is right and all that's bad is good. How that, like a reversal somehow. Through many miles of tricks and trials, we'll wander high and low. Tame your fears, a door appears, the time has come to go. And that's, how it ends. Down the witch's road. Follow me, my friend. Glory at the end.
And that from the previous verse, the ending of the refrain, maiden mother crone, that's on her brooch, yeah?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is like the sort of central archetype, I think, for the triple goddess. Yeah. Some worrying things in there. Especially all that stuff about
characters. You're already off in characters. No,
I hold death's hand in mine. I'm worried that there's not enough merchandising out there for Sharon Davis. I'm going to tell you that.
No, Mrs. Davis will survive.
I hope so because I think she's delightful, and I would be sad if she died.
So will I.
Maybe she'll be the spirit guide after she dies.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
That's terrible.
Sorry, I don't want it to happen. I'm just preparing myself.
You're offing her.
I'm pre-grieving.
Mrs. Davis is going to survive. She will come into her witchly powers.
Okay.
On the road.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to add about the second episode before we get into our comic book spoilery speculation?
Nah, I think we hit everything that I wanted to say about it. Just great. It was fun. It was fun. It was spooky. Love the portrayal of the Salem 7. Give me more of that. Yeah, so I'm totally ready to see what happens on the road.
Yeah. I mean, I think if anyone who's checking out now, we want to hear your theories, especially about teen and other things. And we will. Well, you will be back next week. I'm actually going to miss covering the third episode. I'm definitely going to send in a voicemail with my thoughts and any Easter eggs I notice.
You better.
Yeah, I'm going to be at my sister's wedding, so David's going to be taking my place.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's very lovely.
Yeah. But for those of you who want to hear what we really think, the comic spoilers begin in 3, 2, 1. Comic spoilers, engage. So, okay, I did not expect that they would outright in the first episode bring up the name Nicholas Scratch.
Neither did I.
Even though the Salem 7's coming in. And again, in the comics, Nicholas Scratch is her son and the Salem 7 are his children.
Oh, her grandchildren. Agatha's grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be the same relation? So we already get the implication he's still her son. Do you think the Salem 7 is still her grandchildren?
I don't know, because the room was a teen's room. And or a young child's room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure.
But that's also
point,
was in her delusion, though.
Was it really, though?
Yeah. Well, this was when she was still in the cop show. We didn't see what it looks like after she was broken out of the hex.
Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure at what point she lost her son.
Right.
Because in the comics, he's grown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the Salem 7 comes along, like
mm-hmm.
she's raised him. She's not lost to her.
Right.
But this suggests that at some point in his childhood, he's lost to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to be the same as in the comics where, you know, he's leading his children on a warpath against his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's part of the Salem 7.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's one of the Salem 7.
Well, I guess, no, he's not one. I don't think he's one of the Salem 7. I think,
Why not?
I bet because he's their father. I don't know.
In the comics.
Okay, but here's the question. Do we think the Whispering Man in the Stack, and I recognize the actor's face, I cannot remember his name, and he's not credited. So we're definitely going to we're going to find out who this is later for sure. If anyone recognized the actor, please let us know. But he looks like Nicholas Scratch in the comics, no?
He does.
Like, if I made like a human version from the Fantastic Four comics,
right?
That's who I would cast. Yeah.
No, he does look like him.
So he's grown up, yeah. But then we have this whole teen question, where I think, regardless, I think
teen is Nicholas Scratch.
I think MCU's going to diverge from the comics as always, but I do think this teen is going to end up being called Wiccan because, like, what are we even doing with having him in this show while they're setting up all these other young adventures characters if it's not Wiccan? It's clearly Wiccan, and Wiccan could even still be called Billy Kaplan because, you know, he was raised by some family in Eastview. But what if he's not Wanda's son reincarnated? What if he's Agatha's son reincarnated? Or what if he's somehow some mixture of the two that brings the two women together because they have a common son?
I don't want that.
You don't want it?
No, I don't want that. I want
you
Wanda's
want him to
son.
Be... Mm-hmm.
I want Billy.
I think his name's going to be Billy Kaplan regardless.
Yeah, but I want him to be Wanda's son.
Okay.
I don't want him to be Agatha's son.
Okay. What if he's both?
No. No. Because I think that's a huge part of Wanda's story. And I don't want to
that's not to say that her but it would still be part of her story if he was both. Somehow Billy returned.
Yeah. No. No.
I feel like there's going to be this seems to be a show that's a lot about dealing with your legacy and, you know, being a parent and having parents and stuff. Because we know we've got Agatha, we have her mommy stuff from the last, from WandaVision, you know, where she and her mom tried to like kill her basically, and she killed her and her whole coven back in the original Salem. We have obviously Alice Wu Gulliver with her whole situation. We have whatever's going on with Teen. And I'm still waiting to see what they're going to pull from Jennifer Kale's story. But it is, in the comics, to a certain degree, it's a story about legacy, about what's handed down to you. So,
which is why I want it to be Agatha's son. I'm not Agatha's son, excuse me. I want him to be Wanda's son because, you know, she uses the Darkhold magic to create him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's part of his legacy is the Darkhold. But what's interesting is that in the current Marvel comics, the Darkhold has taken
is a person.
Human form.
Maybe he's the Darkhold. Yes.
The Darkhold has taken human form and is a boy, you know, 12 years old, 13 years old, something like that. And
16, sure, why not?
yeah, why not 16?
Yeah.
And guess who is his caretaker?
Mama.
Guess who is his mom?
Yeah. Well,
Agatha Harkness.
she brought him into being, basically. So
Yes.
yeah.
Agatha Harkness.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And maybe it is sort of like a reborn kind of thing. Like she had a son that somehow was sacrificed for the Darkhold, and now, or maybe she went after the Darkhold for the same reason Wanda did, is she wanted her son back, and that's something that got between her and Rio.
Maybe. But remember, Wanda actually had the book.
Uh-huh.
So the book is gone.
Uh-huh.
That magic had to go somewhere.
Yep. I have another question about Teen and the rabbit. So I keep asking, where's the rabbit? But like, does anyone but Agatha ever see the Teen and the rabbit in the same place at the same time? Like, has anyone else even seen the rabbit this whole, like, since this show started? In WandaVision, they saw the rabbit, but now?
That's a good question. I don't know. Was anyone given the chance to see the rabbit?
We saw the rabbit in the beginning, and then we saw Teen holding the rabbit, and then the rabbit just disappeared when the Salem 7 showed up, and we don't know what happened. But nobody else, like the rabbit wasn't around when they were gathering and she keeps calling him her pet and her familiar.
Questions.
So see, those of you who stuck around, we're not spoiling anything. We don't know.
Right. But this is an interesting, line to pull on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really leaning into Darkhold.
I mean, yeah, they explicitly said Darkhold in these 2 episodes. So that's got to be maybe this. Yeah, it's about bringing the Darkhold back to life. But yeah, I think you're right that it could be. I think he's going to be called
fingertips.
Mm-hmm. The
which
fingertips
we already know that wasn't ink, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could say that, right?
Right.
Like they're not going to fingertip your 10 fingers. They're not going to ink your 10 fingers. I don't think.
I guess they do, but it was also, that was part of her delusion, so that didn't even really happen. So this is her brain telling her things. I do think, as I said, he's going to end the series called Wiccan, being named Wiccan. I'm just waiting for him to put on like a red cape and a headband. But so Boyf, who called, apparently his name's Eddie. I don't know if this is like actually confirmed or just something that's been in the rumor mill for more than a year, but so people are like, because it's Eddie, it can't be Hulkling, who is Wiccan's boyfriend in the comics, but
husband. They got married.
Yeah, okay, but not when they were teenagers.
Oh yeah,
this
good,
is
yeah.
But Eddie is right next to Teddy, which is his name's Theodore Altman in the comics. So I don't know. Do we think Boyf is Hulkling or just someone along the way?
I would need further evidence. I just need. I would need more to go on.
And these 2, Wiccan and Hulkling, are considered one of the best romances in the comics. So the question, on the one hand, do you think like you want to see that on screen because it's such a fan favorite and it's such a beautiful story and everything? On the other hand, does Disney dare?
Why wouldn't they?
Because they are terrified. They told the people at Pixar to make Riley from Inside Out 2 less gay coded, even because she doesn't do anything. She just plays hockey. She's just a girl playing hockey, and she really likes another girl. But that could, who knows?
Yeah. When I say why wouldn't they, that was firmly tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
We know how Disney is terrible with these. With anything that strays from what the most horrible of the fan base dislikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's already the before the episodes went live, there kind of reviews that you would expect popped up. We're not going to talk about it. It still got really strong positive reviews
Yeah, definitely.
despite that. So
definitely.
it's,
So
yeah.
I'm just, I'm, it would be a shame if they leaned away from that. It really would be. It would be very disappointing if they did. Especially seeing that they're maybe leaning into, a relationship between
Agatha and
Rio
Rio.
and Agatha, so let's see what brings, what the rest of the season brings.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I hope that they just, this is on TV. I hope they just have the guts and go for it.
Yeah, but again, I don't think he's the Teddy Altman from the comic.
No.
Book. Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe he's going to break up with him because he just disappeared.
Maybe. Or maybe he's going to break up with him because, Billy or Teen isn't really Teen. You know what I mean? Like, this is something completely different. This is a force of nature and not actually a person.
So speaking of forces of nature, the last comic book thing I wanted to bring up is that there is a character in the comics named Blackheart who is the son of Mephisto. And I do have to say, in another comic, I think only like one comic, Mephisto also has a daughter named Mephista. Yes. So I could see it's possible. What if Rio was Mephisto's offspring? Blackheart.
I don't know yet. It doesn't seem like that would be the way to go at all. I don't think that could be his daughter.
Why?
Because there's just something about, Mephisto's character that they haven't really brought up in the MCU. And I don't know.
This could be them bringing it up.
Yeah,
right?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if introducing him via his daughter in this series kind of makes sense to me.
Okay.
So I'm not sold on her being, the Blackheart from the comic books.
Okay.
She would be way more powerful than she is.
She seems pretty powerful. I think she just was pulling her punches with Agatha.
No, we already agree with that she's pulling her punches, but she would be way more powerful as a witch, as a magic user, than even the glimpses that we received in the first episode.
Okay. All right.
And then she's talked about as being the green of the coven, right?
Yeah, and that's not that's not a hellfire thing. Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't track with me for her to be the daughter.
Yeah. I think the problem is that anytime you put two words together, there's a Marvel character named that because there's just so many Marvel characters.
Yeah, that is true too. That is true too. But and then and when she says the Black Heart, it didn't feel like, it felt more of a Black Heart as in you broke my heart type of thing.
Yeah. Just I am so edgy. I am,
Yeah, because of you, because of what you did, how you wronged me.
Yeah.
After all these centuries, Agatha Harkness will finally meet her end. It really warms the heart.
You don't have a heart.
Yes, I do. It's black. And it beats for you.
Yeah. So I don't think that's the daughter of Mephisto. No.
She definitely better not be Agatha's daughter. No, she's not.
Gosh, no. We know she's not.
All right. Any final thoughts on the comic book side?
No, that's really, I think that's pretty much it. I think Teen is going to be the Darkhold.
Yeah, I think. That's not a bad call. It's not a bad call. Yeah.
Let's see if that holds.
All right. Well, we will be back talking about every episode along the way until we get these final revelations. Again, David will be stepping in for me next week. So congratulations to my sister in advance.
Congrats. Enjoy.
And the show's going to continue through October, where we get a double finale that drops the night of October 30th. So Halloween for the rest of us. Yeah, and I'll be back for episodes 3 through 9. We also, we both started this week the new series, The Penguin. So we're going to have, after we watched it, you, David, and I all were like, I don't know, we might have to do more than one episode.
Yeah. It's going to have to be more than a season recap because, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we agreed that we shouldn't compare it with this one because they're like, people keep trying to compare them because they're comic book shows, but they are just so different.
So drastically different. There's nothing similar, or they're nothing alike. They are nothing alike except for the fact that the characters are drawn in comic books. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just completely. They're not trying to be the same thing. And I think that they are both exceptional examples of their own specific genres.
Yes. Yes. They're doing their own thing, and they're doing their own thing very, very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Super impressed with the openings of both. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about that. Obviously, Rings of Power still going on. Episode 7 coming out next week. And you get the public feed, you get the private feed comes with an extra show guide and lore cast. And there's the mailbags in between. There's one-shots coming out. So we just released Alien Romulus, which we had a great discussion.
A blast doing. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Big ass baby.
Big ass baby. That's the most important thing you need to take away from. And the acid ballet.
Yes.
And yeah, there's going to be, I think next week, David's going to release another episode where he's talking to various members of the community about that filming also. And there's also going to be a Beetlejuice breakdown coming out. Brandon and I recorded that last night, so that'll be coming out probably, shortly after this one.
Oh, awesome.
Stay tuned in October for all the Spooktober goodness. We're just ramping up on the scary side. And, as always, of course, the Supercast and Patreon subscribers get early ad-free access, extra episodes, including Second Breakfast and 11Z's, which was this month Prey. 11Z's is our extra film review pod. And yeah, I went overboard on Prey. It was my month to propose a movie.
I heard people who haven't watched it actually really liked it.
Yeah.
Such a good
who
movie.
would have thought? Yeah.
Exactly.
Check out Nevermind the Music. If you liked our little musical snippets today, guess what? They do it way better and also way shorter. So you'll find
really
their
fun.
Own. Yeah, really fun. You listened to the first.
I did.
There's 3.5 episodes out because the half is like they do these side tracks. Where they're talking about cover songs this week. I
haven't listened to that one yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but really well mixed, super fun, much shorter than these. I was getting teased by Mark about how long our episodes are, but you know what?
Hey, come on.
It's a lot
to talk about.
A lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about.
But speaking, of course, of our Supercast and Patreon subscribers, we always shout out our biggest supporters. So we shout out our Discord server boosters, who helped make the Discord a better place. This is like our primary social center. So definitely check out the link in the show notes for the Discord. You'll find a link tree that goes to all the other podcasts that we mentioned and the Discord and all this other stuff. And then I'm going to thank our lore masters, who are our highest tier of subscribers. And we like the software that we're using, supporting co-hosts, just basically being able to run this and have some small compensation for the amount of time that we put into this. Lore masters are what really make that possible. So thank you so much. Thank you also to everyone who listens in general and our Lorehounds tier as well, of course.
Thank you for this community. Yeah. Thank you.
So I've lined up some music as we do, and this time it's from the ambient folder, so it's not going to be epic this time.
Oh, man.
It's called Violet Skies. So let's see. All right. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Gnarls, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Dorka the Ninjas, Duve71, Captain Gingy 56, Athena Ajalea, Adrian, Tina, Lestu, Nancy M, and Ghost of Pardition. And thank you especially to our lore masters, Samartian, Michael G., Michelle E., David W., Brian P., SC, Peter OH, Bettina W., Adam S., Nancy M., Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H., Sarah L., Gareth C., Eric F., Matthew M., Sarah M., DJ Miwa, Andra B., Kwang Yu, Jedi Bob, Nathan T., Alex V., Aaron T., Sub-Zero, Aaron K., Deli V., Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W., Listu, Jeffrey B., Elisa U., Fossey U., Neil F., Ben F., Charlotte M., and always last, Adrienne. Thank you.
Thank you. That was not epic, but it was cool.
It was ambient.
Yeah.
It was kind of like mellow witchy vibes.
Yeah, definitely. It fit the theme.
And until next week, we're going down the road.
Recast T'Challa.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities.